Thank you, Emma. That was a lovely introduction. And welcome, everyone. I can see already some familiar faces, but some people have joined us that I haven't seen in a very long time and all around South Australia, maybe beyond. We'll find out soon. I'd like to start by using the Kaurna welcome. We acknowledge that this land we meet on tonight is the traditional lands for the Kaurna people and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. So although we might be beyond the Kaurna lands, we do like to acknowledge that this is their lands. And I, for one, over the last few years, have greater respect for that relationship that people have with their land. I know I'm developing mine through networks like the Semaphore Compost Network and trying to improve our soils, and through the Port Environment Centre, understanding our local flora and fauna. And yeah, thank you to everyone who's helped me in my learning journey as well. So I thought I could share my kitchen, because I know I'm a visual learner, and maybe you can be feeling great, like, yes, I'm on that journey too. You might be inspired and you might be like, hey, Laura, have you thought about this? Because there's no one right way to do anything. I'm still almost daily changing the way I do something in my house, whether the way I organise things or how I shop. So I started Plastic-Free July, my first Plastic-Free July in 2016. It was pretty much between my colleagues and me in my school. So we did things like try and get our staff involved by advertising a couple of products we knew would help reduce waste, like reusable produce bags and reusable keep cups. We had about 5 products. So that was the way it kind of started. And each year I do something a little bit differently. So last year I had a baby, so it kind of was a whirlwind, but I just had committed to not using disposable nappies, so I continued that, and reusable wipes. And I can't actually remember exactly what I did, but the year before, I remember we were traveling to Uluru and Alice Springs, so I really wanted to see how you could travel with reducing plastic, especially in small country towns. So it was a little bit challenging, but we did, like, everywhere we could, we reduced plastic, which was really great. Okay, well, a quick little tour of my kitchen. So that's my fridge and freezer, and that's my oven. So I don't have gas, unfortunately, where we are. And above that I have my glasses and spice rack. I have my pantry, my Thermomix and other appliances, a little bit more food stored there, and then my kitchen sink. And I have a dishwasher, and I can show you my bin system in a minute, but that's in the cupboards. So how do I shop? Well, I did a post on Instagram and Facebook yesterday, so I'll see if I can bring that up. This is the post I did yesterday. This is a typical post. Is it going to let me scroll? Yeah. So, sorry, a typical shop. So I've gone to the People's Market in Port Adelaide, and I've chosen as many things as I can not in plastic. For example, I took a whole leek and a non-peeled back corn, like a corn in its husk, and loose tomatoes, bananas, mandarins, and a whole cauliflower. So even if I only need half a cauliflower, I'll try and buy a whole cauliflower and use it up or share it with somebody. I did opt to buy grapes in plastic because Ty, my 1-year-old son, pointed out to them and he was hungry, so I bought the bag. And it's something I buy every now and again, but not all the time. And I can put the plastic in RedCycle. And then I bought, is this big enough for you to see? Yeah, I bought a big packet of strawberries because, again, that's what Ty wanted. He's sometimes wanting kiwi fruit, sometimes wanting banana, so I have to have a lot of options. I think if your parents, you'd relate. And there's a bag of snow peas. So they were already put in the bags, and it was the end of the day, so there wasn't a lot left. But normally I would use one of these reusable produce bags to put them in. And in the background there, you can see what I bought at the Drummer Boy Cafe, which now has a bulk food section or a packaging-free dried whole food section. So I really recommend you checking the Drummer Boy Cafe out if you live in this area. And if not, Port Environment Centre has a list of all of the places you can do packaging-free shopping. It's actually made by the Adelaide Sustainability Centre, and I think we can put a link to that in an email. It's really good. It's always changing though, because a lot of companies unfortunately can't continue when they're not giving them the business. Like they always are competing with the big chain stores. So I do my very best to shop at the small places, even if it is a little bit dearer, because in the end I'm supporting local, and I really don't notice the difference in price if I don't see what it does cost at the big guys. Yeah, so I think you've just got to like have that headset that this is what it costs when I go there, and I budget for that. But if I go somewhere else and see it's cheaper, then I might feel like I've spent too much. But if you don't, no, it doesn't hurt. I did also buy a big thing of maple syrup, because I make lots of raw treats out of this. I put it in my protein bowls, my smoothie bowls, smoothies, raw slices, cookies, lots of different things. So that's in plastic, but it's the biggest you can get at the moment. And if anyone knows where you can buy or refill maple syrup in the area, that would be great, because that's something I'm going to try and do in plastic-free July. I have found you can get 5 litre. It's like a box with a cask inside, but I haven't seen anyone sell that. So if anyone knows that that's sold nearby, that'd be great too. All right. So I just thought I would show you inside my fridge and my pantry. In my fridge, so when I shop, I'll sort of start from the top. So I'll try and buy things in glass jars or refill my glass jars. So I haven't yet found anywhere that does a Dijon mustard, but I could probably find a recipe and make something myself, or find somewhere that does it and I can refill it. Kimchi, I was a bit devastated to buy such a small amount of kimchi like this, but I really wanted to cook with something, and they didn't have the bigger jar of the non-spicy one. But my partner also has a local lady who does really amazing jars of kimchi, massive jars of kimchi, and then she'll take the jars back and refill. And I've also made my own kimchi. I usually buy the biggest hummus that I can buy, because we all eat it. And I have tried to make it myself as well, sometimes with luck, but that's something I could perfect and then not have to buy in plastic. And I always reuse these or rehome them. They're places like Container Swap Adelaide. I do buy yogurt sometimes, so mostly like a coconut yogurt. I don't know if you can see that. And again, I'll recycle that, because it's a number 5. It's not the most valuable plastic, but it can be recycled. Otherwise, I reuse it. Karen Murphy, who's probably with us tonight, actually uses things like this to pre-prepare cake mixes. So she has a stack in her pantry of like banana cake mix, apple cake mix, and then all she has to do is add the wet ingredients, which I think is ingenious. And I haven't bought these before, and I won't again, because inside it has a silica sachet, which cannot be recycled. Even if it can be reused, it ends up in landfill. So I will try my best to make a batch and freeze falafels from now. What else? This is a real treat at the moment. We've been enjoying some plant-based patties. So very similar to if you're eating meat, it often comes in a plastic tray with a plastic, sometimes recyclable liner. Like if it's a real like cling wrappy one, it's probably not recyclable. But if it's a soft plastic, it could be really properly washed and recycled. And then the box is recyclable, or I think you can rip it up and put it in your compost, because it doesn't have a plastic lining. I'm just going to put this down for a tick. You can see my wine and my water, very important. So they're the strawberries I bought the other day, so that's not ideal. That's definitely in plastic-free July. I will not be buying them. I normally buy strawberries at the markets in season, and I use as many as I can fresh, and then I freeze them for smoothie bowls and smoothies, and it lasts me the year. So I still have some in my freezer. And I go to Beerenberg as well, go picking at the farm. And when I buy fruit and veg, like I said, I try and get it without plastic. So I don't buy the one kilo bag of carrots. I know it saves money, but I don't want to buy the plastic. And if I forget my produce bags, I just put them in a box or my trolley loose, because you can wash and sometimes peel that fruit and veg. When I buy spinach, it's actually cheaper to buy like this as well. There are pre-packaged bags of spinach, or you can use your own produce bag and put in how much you want. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, I use the mushroom bags, but it's still single use. So it's kind of the last resort. It's better than the plastic, but it's, unless you're reusing that paper bag over and over and over again, it's still better to reuse a reusable. I buy passata as well, and I often write on it when I opened it, so I try and use it. And I'd love to learn to make my own passata. I buy tofu sometimes. No one's asked, how do you make the fruit and veg last with those bags? Does it not go soft? Well, funnily, I heard a trick from my colleague today. With carrots, you can actually wrap them in alfoil, and you can reuse that alfoil. So she said she's used the same pieces of alfoil 2 years to keep her carrots fresh. I find that I do use them in time, and if not, I put them in my veggie stock. So I make my own veggie stock in my Thermomix. It's quite a salty recipe, but it's just a heap of veggies, salt, cook for a few minutes, and then I put it in jars. And if I have too much, I gift it away. This one I made with beetroot, and so you can't really use it in risotto because it turns purple. Anything else? Have you tried to make waste-free coconut yogurt? No, not yet. Honestly, for things that I don't eat that often, I sort of just enjoy it, and then if it's something I'm going to eat a lot, like hummus, like that's where I should spend my energy, because I'd be reducing a lot of plastic. All of that stuff can be frozen too. I store my baby spinach washed in my salad spinner. It's a good idea too. I don't have a salad spinner, but if that's something that's definitely going to help me preserve it, I will. I mostly use baby spinach in smoothies, so it doesn't really matter if it starts to get a little bit limp, because it's just baby spinach, cucumbers, dates, almonds or peanut butter, frozen strawberries, water, and bananas, frozen or fresh bananas. So yeah, a lot of the things don't really matter if they do go a bit funny. And while I'm here, this is my go-to snack. You've probably seen me post about it before, but yeah, my son just comes up to the fridge and goes, bowl, bowl, and I know that he wants a bowl. It's pretty much his breakfast every morning. And we go through a lot of dates. I know it's not wonderful because they come from the other side of the world. I know you can't win them all, but we buy a 5 kilo box of dates and sit it in that bottom section, and then once it's quite empty, we'll transfer it into some containers. We use them for smoothies, smoothie bowls. I feel like I'm wasting electricity having that open. Smoothie bowls, the protein bowls, we'll just cut them open and put some peanut butter in them. So there's just super versatile snack. All right, I won't be able to cover, and there's a date farmer in the Riverland, Gurra Downs, so you can buy them locally certain times of the year, and they do 2 varieties. So yesterday I went to Drummer Boy Cafe. I had about 10 reusable produce bags, and I had a list. So I did that list and then went, oh no, I really still want something else. Chocolates for smoothie bowls and everything else. And so I did accept 1 paper bag, but I do plan to use this, I'd say 10 times. You go into the bulk Whole Foods like House of Health in Central Market or Goodies and Grains, I forget the new name. There's lots of places around Adelaide now, and you just take your bag, take the scoop, put the food in the bag, put that bag into a shopping trolley or a basket or your own basket, and then when you get to the cash register, they weigh it, and sometimes they take off 5 cents for the weight of the bag, which is apparently what they do in a lot of places to take off the price of that little plastic bag. And then at the end, you bring it home, and I have lots of jars. Usually they're empty, that's why I'm going shopping, but sometimes they're not, so I'll just fill it up, and sometimes it overflows and I just start a new jar. So I might have a whole jar full of peanuts, and then I have a little jar half full of peanuts. And so I don't want to label all my jars, because otherwise then I'm like pressured to use those jars for that item, and I have to wash them. Yeah, I kind of just use whatever. I don't have all my jars exactly the same shape and size, so just trying to make it easy as possible. But sometimes I get lucky, and I bought this many almonds, and I'm going to do this over here, and it fits perfectly. So this is what I have to do. This is unpacking my shopping. And then, oh no, it's a little bit full, so I might just eat a few, and then I put the lid on. Would you like an almond? Okay, and then this goes in my pantry, or I have a section up there where it lives. So that's more or less how I shop, how I unpack, and where I store things. And then my pantry, might just have to turn a light on, we'll try. So it's not perfect. It's lots of jars and tins. Quite a few of the jars I refill. For example, the olive oil jar I refill, the tamari I refill, the nutritional yeast I refill, the apple cider vinegar, I've had quite a few, so I haven't needed to do that yet, but I know you can refill apple cider vinegar. Makona I use and then I reuse the jar. Tahini I know you can make yourself, so I might make my own next time. And going around here, hopefully you can see lots more jars. I don't know if you can see that. That's a bit tricky. So there's lots of pasta, rice, chickpeas, beans, dal, oats, heaps of different nuts, chocolate that I did buy. Someone bought that for me. So I do my best to make my own chocolate, or make chocolate flavored treats like the protein balls, but sometimes you just want chocolate. Okay, and I can see a lot of people have written comments such as the sauce in Glenelg. There's also one in Mitcham, Glenelg, and one more. And there's a Field Whole Foods in the Brickworks Market. So I've tried to get to all of them, and they're all great in their individual ways. So it's whatever you're closest to, and it's developing a relationship with that place so that you can get the things you do want. I know people have said, oh, it's hard to get flours and raw sugar and things like that, but I guess a lot of these places are health conscious, and so they do try and limit their use of like white sugar. So you can get coconut sugar or other sweeteners like maple syrup. So it just depends. Just ask them for what you're looking for. And like a few people have mentioned, the Reduce, Reuse, Recycle Adelaide group is a great place to ask for certain things. So I'm going to leave this tonight and go, for plastic-free July, I'd really like to get plastic-free maple syrup, plastic-free tofu, just to at least try it once, and a recipe, really true and tested recipe for hummus. Okay, perhaps we could do the reusables quiz, reusables poll. Looking good. So it looks like most people use glass jars. It's a great way to start because it's something that comes in our house naturally, so it's better to reuse that than buying anything new. Reusable shopping bags, I think in South Australia especially, since the 2008 single-use plastic shopping bag ban, or tax, or whatever you'd like to call it, it's part of our culture now to bring your own shopping bags. A lot of people use their own lunch boxes and containers, but they're just so versatile, and I think they could be used better. I even had a lovely conversation with somebody on Saturday night because I brought my stainless steel lunchbox thing to a party. Yes, there's parties now. And I just used that for the food that they had. Like, it was a shared dinner and everyone had plastic plates. So I just used the base of this, and I had my own fork as well. And I'm just sitting there eating my curry and rice. And this gentleman came over and he said, "What are you doing? Where did you get that?" And I said, "Oh, I always have it in my car, and I saw that they were using plastic plates, and I normally ask, oh, is it okay if I borrow a ceramic plate and I'll wash it up?" But I didn't want to bother that person, so I just went to the car and got this, and took it home dirty, and it was not a big deal at all. And he messaged me and said, "I'm going to do that. That's just such a simple thing, and it really adds up." So I've had this container for 3.5 years, I've used it hundreds of times. It doesn't have to be a stylish stainless steel one. It can just be a Tupperware, you know, any plastic or glass container. It's just about being reusable. And we've got a lot of people using a reusable bread bag. That's great because I don't see people using them when I'm out and about. I shop at Murphy's Bakery on the peninsula, and it's wonderful. It has the most delicious sourdough breads, but everyone takes a paper bag and no one brings back their paper bag to reuse. So I always take a cotton bag that I made. It's really simple, just a wide piece that you put this drawstring in. I can again share a way to make this, and I put the sourdough in there. They even cut it for me and put it in here, and then I bring it home and put it in this big Tupperware bread box. But it can be any container or even in your pantry, as long as it's kind of not getting too much air to it, otherwise it gets dry. But that again has saved me, in the 3 or 4 years since I've been using it, hundreds of plastic bags, and none of those little plastic bread tags. You can go to a lot of supermarkets now and get bread from their bakery. Gone up to her local I think it's Foodland or something, and ordered it beforehand so that then she can just come and get it in a bag. You can even use compostable bags and then bring it home and freeze part of the bread, or reuse the produce bag, the compostable produce bag, as your kitchen caddy liner for your green scraps. So it's amazing just how many opportunities there are to use reusables, reduce plastic. Okay. Is there anything else you want to add there, Emma, about reusables?
The importance, I guess, of having them clean and neat and tidy, and especially at the moment when people maybe aren't feeling as comfortable, the last thing you want to do is turn up with a dirty looking bag or, you know, a cup.
Yes, I've done a few posts about them. Keep them clean, especially if you're willing to hold out your container or your cup and then put it straight in. That's a good way as well, especially for people that aren't familiar with it. Go to Zambrero sometimes once a fortnight, and again, order. I don't know if anyone else goes to Zambrero or any burrito place, but I order it and they make it on the plate, and then at the end they just put the burrito into my container and I just put the lid on, and so they haven't touched my container at all, and that's just saved that alfoil. All right. Cool. Well, I'll show you my bin system, my resource recovery system. So I'll start with my landfill. So at the moment, we're collecting our landfill in jars. We've been doing this for about, since Leicester Landfill October, we set this up. So this is my jar. It's half full. It's 2.5 litre, and it's mainly got receipts in it that I haven't been able to avoid. It's got a Hungry Jack's plant-based burger wrapper. It's got a polystyrene kind of thing, stretchy thing that goes around coconuts. So that was a real treat to get that. It's got a few like things that don't seem like hard plastic, and they're not soft plastic, and they don't rip, so not paper. So I'm just not really sure about them. My son's, he's 16 months now, so all he's got in his jar is a couple of old silicone things from his milk bottles that have got a crack in them, and a broken magnet that he dropped off the fridge. And the kids are very similar, and David, so they're all in one jar at the moment. That's where I keep my landfill, and if there's anything really big, like I had some, what did I have recently? A bicycle tube and some ripped and stuff, weed matting, like that went in there. So that doesn't go in my jar, that goes straight outside. And we've put our landfill out once so far this year, and it's about, like if I pressed it down really hard, it's probably only a quarter full. So maybe we'll aim for October or something to put a landfill bin out, but that's taken many years to get to that point, and I understand not everyone can do that. Like I've chosen and worked very hard to use reusable nappies, but not everyone can do that. So don't, just do whatever you can do with the knowledge and accessibility you have. My recycling bin, I recommend this being probably your largest bin, and something you can just take out into the recycling bin outside. So it's kept under there. It's got the label from the Port Adelaide Council. I don't know if you've seen those stickers before, but they tell you what can and can't go in the recycling bin. So at the moment we've got some hard plastic and some milk containers. And I think the last time I put out my yellow bin was the 11th of April, and probably put it out in a couple of months. We have got our red cycle. I've set up a chair so we can see this, hopefully. Does that work? Okay, so this is my green bin. So it's just easy to lift the lid and pop it back down. I used to have a kitchen caddy, but we use quite a lot of food. We have quite a lot of food scrap, so I wait till that's full and then put it in the compost. And my red cycle bin is a tub, and on the door here I have all the things you can and can't put in there. You can download that from the Red Cycle website. So the main things that go in there are chip packets and like the jats, inside the jats box or inside the crusket box, which is what my son Ty eats. So that's something I'd like to not buy in plastic-free July. I'd like to make my own crackers. So that's soft plastics. At the back there you can see the small hard plastics container. This takes a long time to fill up actually. The main thing that goes in there at the moment is the top of the 1 litre UHT milk, and just a couple of broken things. There's not a lot in there. Oh, some packing strap. You know that like big yellow packing strap? You probably won't be able to see it, but I've cut that up into small pieces and put that in there. And then when that's full, I put the lid on and put it in the recycling bin. That's a really great way to reduce landfill. And I have the metal. So this is all your steel. So I test it on the magnet, and that will go in the recycling bin. And I've got, I usually have like a couple of aluminium lids, and they go inside an piece of alfoil, and then when that's the size of my fist, I put that in the recycling bin as well. And I also take a lot of tins and other metals to our local recycling centre, and any bottles and cans like wine bottles. I get the odd like kombucha bottle, glass bottle, but we really don't buy much like bottled drinks. Yeah, so it's just been one thing at a time we've kind of broken down. Oh, at the back in my garage I also have a resource recovery rack, which is where we have excess glass jars and containers and a few things like corks that I'm collecting to maybe do an art project. So I'm doing my best to reduce, reuse, rehome before I have to recycle things. Where do you get posters for your bins? I think that's really helpful, especially if you're living with people that don't know what to put in bins as much, or if you've moved to a new area, or if you're doing a share house. So the Port Adelaide Enfield Council have wonderful bin posters. They are stickers as well. I've just chosen to stick them on with blue tack so I can move them around. You can call the council for them to post them to you, and when the Port Environment Centre reopens, you can collect them from there. You can go to the Which Bin website, Which Bin has got great ads on TV now and on their Facebook page, and they too have some downloadable posters that you can use, but they're sort of generic, so it is good to have a council specific one. Yeah, most councils, half, I'm not sure, do supply compostable bags and little kitchen caddies for free. Some might charge, it just depends, and if you really want them to be free because you use them and it will help you reduce food to landfill, then ask for them. Just keep asking. I've been lucky enough to live in the Port Adelaide Enfield area where they've been giving them away for free for a very long time, since I've lived here, 5 years or so. But they are changing now to an opt-in, which is good because a lot of people wouldn't use them. They throw them straight in the landfill bin. What a waste. Red cycle, put them in the recycling, contamination. Green bin, I'm not sure if they know to do that. And even then it might be a bit hard for it to be composted. But do ask. And I used to be one of those people that would go to the Indian shop and then wash my containers and then stack them up and, you know, try and reuse them as many times as I could. And then like a light bulb was switched and I was like, why don't I take those containers back for them to refill? And why don't I take the reusable produce bags back? And then eventually there was reusable produce bags. So I didn't have these collections of things to reuse, but for things you can't avoid, it's nice to reuse them or rehome them. And I think we all have just a little amount of things we're not sure what to do with, a little like, how do we deal with these plastic items? And if you're not sure, you can post a picture and share with on our Reduce, Reuse, Recycle Adelaide page, and we can try and help you work out what to do with it. What else do we want to talk about? Because we've only got 5 more minutes, so it could be a chance now to ask some questions via video. When you're ready, you can ask.
The other thing, if there aren't lots of questions, is does anyone want a quick rundown of Plastic Free July itself in terms of what it is, how you participate in it, why? I think it's a fantastic initiative to actually sign up to. Is that something anyone is interested in hearing really quickly?
Interesting.
All right, so really quickly, Plastic Free July is now a global challenge. It's gone around the world and is kind of, I think, something about 120 million people participated last year. It started in Australia, in Western Australia. The idea is you actually sign up, you go to their website and you click, yep, I'm going to join this challenge. It doesn't mean no plastic. It means whatever you want it to mean. So I think it's about setting your own rules around how you want that month to look for you. So it could be as simple as saying, I'm going to target the big 4, which they define as plastic bags, bottled drinks, takeaway coffee cups, and plastic straws. And it's just saying for the month of July, I am not going to get a single one of these. I'm going to try really hard and always remember my reusable alternatives, or just say no and miss out. Or maybe, like Laura was saying, she's going to really focus in on snack food and trying to make some more of her own. So it's kind of about thinking about what's something you'd like to improve, and then by signing up to a challenge, it's really motivating because it means, you know, for July you're going to try really hard on that one thing. And they say to make new habits, you need to do something for quite a while for it to become a new habit and a new behaviour that you don't really have to think about anymore. The Plastic Free July is a really good time to go, right, the month of July we are zeroing in on this. I'm going to get the other people in my household involved as well, and we're going to try really hard. And then kind of at the other end of the month, the way I see it at least, when you come out the other end, you can kind of think about, okay, what of that do I want to keep going, or what was actually a bit too hard and maybe I'm not going to worry about, kind of where's my comfortable level. The website itself has lots of resources. And if you sign up, they also send kind of a few emails throughout the month just to see how you're going and provide some links to some really good information. And for me personally, we started maybe 4 years ago the first time, just the conversations it led to by being able to say to all your friends, all your family, hey, I'm doing this thing called Plastic Free July. I'm trying really hard to avoid single-use plastic for the month of July. I had so many conversations about single-use plastics that I never would have had otherwise. So people that you see all the time were suddenly like, oh, how are you going? What are you doing about this? Oh, Emma, you'd be so proud of me. I remembered my coffee cup, or, you know, it just led to so much more. So I'll send the link and I really encourage people to join up. That's enough from me.
I'd like to add what I hope to do this Plastic Free July, a little bit more detail. But before that, I guess it's shifting the conversation from, like, I get called I'm a really good recycler, or Laura loves recycling. It's shifting it from recycling and being like, it's okay, I can recycle it, to it can be avoided, it can be refused, it can be reduced, and whatever you do get in can be reused over and over before recycled. And it might actually be a great use of your time during Plastic Free July to do a stock take of your kitchen and say, look, I love this product, but it comes in a non-recyclable or reusable packaging. So I'm going to contact 3 or 4 businesses a week and I'm going to ask them to use a compostable packaging, or is there any way I can refill at a local store? So that might actually be a better use of that time, or a different use of that time. And then I fall out of habits when life gets a bit busy. So I used to always make these 5-seed crackers They're literally 5 seeds and water. So linseed, chia, sunflower, pepitas, and sesame seeds with a bit of tamari and water. And you just mix it together for 5 minutes and then put it in the oven. And so that can cut out a lot of packaging, not only like the box, but the plastic that little tray's wrapped in. And I'd also like to have a go at making corn chips, because I love to have corn chips with guacamole. So maybe I can go the month without corn chips. That's going to be pretty easy, but I could use that time to teach myself how to cook these things. And then I might not eat as many, might appreciate them a bit more. So it could be time to actually try some cooking. All right, would anyone else like to ask a question, or in the comments, if you can share what you hope to do this plastic-free July? And Emma and I were discussing that when you write it down and share it with other people, you're actually more likely to try and do it. You're more committed to it. What do you hope to do this plastic-free July? Could be reduce the plastic in my kitchen, try to take my own takeaway container to somewhere for takeaway, my own container for somewhere for takeaway. You could try and take, now that we're going back into restaurants, you could try and take a container for your leftovers so that you don't take home those plastic leftover containers. I like this one, explore Whole Foods. I think the Whole Foods thing came about when I was trying to reduce plastic. I think in the beginning of January, when I actually started when I got the Thermomix, and I started going back to how things are made, and I just bought raw sugar and made it into white sugar and caster sugar and icing sugar. You know, you go back to what the raw whole food is, and then you learn to use it in different ways. Then with plastic-free lifestyle, you try and make things yourself. So you go back to the soybean to make the soy milk or the tofu. Go back to the beans to make your frijoles or black bean and beetroot patties. And you definitely learn to eat more healthily. But you make allowances every now and again. In terms of milk, I'm a sucker for bonsai. So I might have a little bit of bonsai in my morning coffee, and that will last me probably longer than it should be open, but probably a year, a week. And then Ty has an almond unsweetened, high in calcium, B12, B2, and E. And I sometimes make our own oat milk, almond milk, cashew milk, or a mixture. And so that's one way to reduce it, just by every now and again making my own milk. I just don't think I can do it all the time, not just yet. John says, how do you get time for all this with a son and teaching? Well, like I've said, it's sort of been a journey. I started back in late 2015. So it's been one or two things at a time. Some things are habits now. Sometimes I go backwards. Sometimes it's just this week I'm going to focus on that, and I do it. And Ty gets involved. Ty comes shopping with me.
Fantastic. I just want to say a really huge thank you to Laura, which I'm sure everyone here would echo. Done just a fantastic job of just, being a fantastic presenter, letting us into your home, letting us into your kitchen. And so I think for all of us, that's a real honour and a real privilege, and we really value that and appreciate it. And thank you everyone for coming along. I guess don't underestimate the power of all those little choices, and also the power of being visible with what you do and kind of watching as that spreads to others around you. It's kind of that good peer pressure, I think. If you can demonstrate good ways of doing things, other people get curious and want to adopt bits and pieces of it. So we all can be ambassadors for kind of lower waste living. And thank you very much, Laura. Big thumbs up.
Thank you, everyone.